As a former book editor, it's probably no surprise to you that I read a lot of books. Mostly self-help books, business books, and anything that will help me be more productive and successful. And now that I've been a life coach for more than a decade, I still read constantly to stay on top of best practices for my clients. But I noticed something strange as I was perusing my bookshelves. Most of the books I recommend to my friends and clients were written by old white men. They are the bulk of the voices telling me how to live my life, with very few examples from women, people of color, or other underrepresented groups. This was mortifying as someone who prides herself on being inclusive and open-minded. Why was I listening to all of these old white men? And more importantly, does their advice still hold up in today's society? I just spent 2 weeks letting old white men run my life. So keep watching to learn what worked, what didn't, and if you should act like an old white man too. Let's go! Hey there! I'm Sage Grayson, a former book editor turned life coach. I help ambitious women edit their habits, routines, and mindsets to balance their happiness at work and home. I'm a life editor, and so are you. Today, I'm sharing my experience of following the advice from old white men for 2 weeks. Before we get started, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of my life editing videos. Plus, you'll be first to know when I launch new products and programs. For this challenge, I chose 5 books written by 5 different old white men who specialize in self-help. These are all books that I have read repeatedly and recommend to my clients. Then for 3 days, I tried 3 exercises from each of the books to determine if the advice was applicable to my life and business. Without further ado, allow me to introduce you to the old white men. Book number 1 is The Big Leap by Hendricks. Conquer your hidden fear and take life to the next level. And here is the Wikipedia bio. Hendricks is a psychologist, writer, and teacher in the field of personal growth, relationships, and body intelligence. He is best known for his work in relationship enhancement and in the development of conscious breathing exercises. Hendricks was 64 years old when he wrote The Big Leap in 2009, and he's 77 years old today. Book number 2 is Eat That Frog by Tracy. 21 great ways to stop procrastinating and get more done in less time. Here's the Wikipedia bio. Tracy is a Canadian-American motivational public speaker and self-development author. He is the author of over 80 books that have been translated into dozens of languages. His popular books are Earn What You're Really Worth, Eat That Frog, No Excuses, The Power of Self-Discipline, and The Psychology of Achievement. Tracy was 63 years old when he wrote Eat That Frog in 2007, and he is 78 years old today. Book number 3 is The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Break through the blocks and win your inner creative battles. Here's the Wikipedia bio. Steven Pressfield is an American author of historical fiction, nonfiction, and screenplays. Steven Pressfield was 58 years old when he wrote The War of Art in 2002, and he is 78 years old today. Book number 4 is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. How to get from where you are to where you want to be. Here's the Wikipedia bio. Jack Canfield is an American author, motivational speaker, corporate trainer, and entrepreneur. He is the co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, which has more than 250 titles and 500 million copies in print over 40 languages. Jack Canfield was 60 years old when he wrote The Success Principles in 2005, and he is 77 years old today. And finally, book number 5 is Getting Things Done by David Allen, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. Here's the Wikipedia bio. David Allen is an American productivity consultant best known for the creation of a time management method called Getting Things Done. David Allen was 55 years old when he wrote Getting Things Done in 2001, and he is 77 years old today. There you have it. Those are the old white men. And here's what happened when I followed their advice for 2 weeks. All right, we're kicking off this challenge with a big bang, or should I say, a big leap. It's day 1 of The Big Leap by Hendricks. There were so many interesting little strategies in this book, but the one that I chose for today is to live in your zone of genius. Here's how the author describes living in your zone of genius. Your zone of genius is the set of activities you are uniquely suited to do. They draw upon your special gifts and strengths. Your zone of genius beckons you with increasingly strong calls as you go through your life. Your zone of genius is also known as the call of genius. It's like that voice from the universe telling you, you are meant to do this thing. Now for me, I definitely heeded my call of genius many years ago when I switched from book editing to life coaching. I was an excellent editor, but I'm a much better coach. Gay Hendricks recommends living in your zone of genius for at least 70% of your time. That's a lot of time when you're not scrolling through social media or watching reruns. So today I am determined to live within my zone of genius. But what does that mean? For me, that means stepping up as a coach and acting a little bit more professional than I normally do. Every week I do these live stream calls on YouTube and Facebook, which are fine, but it's really just me talking at the camera. There's no editing, there's no animation, there's no text. And if I'm honest with myself, even though it's good information, it's kind of long and rambly, and I don't feel like my best self in those live stream videos. What I want to do more of are these highly edited videos, like I'm recording right now. These edited videos do take a lot more of time and effort, but they come out so much nicer. It's a lot easier to follow the points that I'm making. And it removes all of those instances of me saying, and looking at my notes. So to live in my zone of genius today, I want to, 1, get dressed and act like a professional, and 2, record helpful, well-edited videos. And it just so happens that I have quite a few videos I need to record for my 12 Days of Life Editing series. It's a fun little countdown to Christmas, and it gives me an opportunity to showcase my expertise. But too often I get busy and I just blow off doing the series. Not this year. I'm going to get it together and record my 12 Days of Life Editing, because that's what genius level Sage would do. All right, I am dressed and ready to go, and imminently I will be repainting my nails into some Christmas holiday colors. Then I'm going to finish writing and recording my 12 Days of Life Editing videos so I can live within my zone of genius today. And then you lovely life editors get to benefit from me stepping up and doing a really good job. All right, wish me luck. It's day 2 for the big leap, and yesterday I spent the day acting in my zone of genius. I was dressed up, I felt confident, capable, I recorded 2 videos, and I got a lot of other work done. And I painted my nails pretty Christmas colors, but I did not record any of my 12 Days of Life Editing videos. The thing that I told myself I was gonna do. So yes, I was being productive and getting things done, except for the one most important thing. But that's okay, because I can regroup today. Today's strategy is to use something called Einstein time. Now, when we usually think about time, we see it as a limited resource, something that you can use up and not have enough of. And this is actually something I explain to my clients a lot, that time is a non-renewable resource. When it's gone, it's gone. That's why you got to use some time management strategies, be productive, and use every minute wisely. With Einstein time, you must take ownership of time. Time isn't another entity. You are time. This has happened to me before, where I was driving someplace and I knew I was going to be late, and I was frustrated and I was looking at the clock and watching the minutes tick by. But then I stopped myself, took a big breath, and just focused on the drive. I was mindful and in the moment. And then when I got to my destination, I was on time. Maybe that's happened to you before, where you thought you were going to run out of time, but when you stopped focusing on it, you realized that you had plenty. So my job for today is to take ownership of time and realize that there is enough time for everything. Using Einstein time, I am going to record the videos that I should have recorded yesterday. That means recording 12 videos in a day. Can I do it? Of course I can. I have all the time in the world. It's now day 3 of the big leap. Full disclosure, I took a few days off to enjoy the holidays, got my hair cut, and I rested. It has been really busy around here and I needed the break. All right, but let me catch you up on where I'm at with the big leap. For day 2, using Einstein time, I was able to record all of the videos for my 12 Days of Life Editing, And I am so proud of myself for actually finishing them and getting them edited and getting them all scheduled. This is really big for me because I have these grand ideas of what I want to do for my business, but a lot of times I come up short. And I'm tired of saying I'm going to do something and then not doing it. So that was a huge win for me, finishing the 12 days of life editing. Now for day 3, I chose something from almost the very end of the book. Like literally on the second to the last page, he mentions this watermelon story. So when Gay Hendricks was a boy, he was selling watermelon on the side of the highway. That is such like a bizarre thing for me to imagine a little boy doing nowadays. Anyway, he was selling watermelon on the side of the highway for 25 cents a melon. And no one in the passing cars stopped to buy a watermelon. But then he realized it was because nobody could handle a great big watermelon on the highway. So he cut up the watermelon into 8 slices each and sold each slice for a nickel. His new sign on the side of the road said watermelon slices for a nickel. And he sold all of them. Now, to apply that idea to your life or your business is to take something big, something that you teach all the time, and slice it up. What's something big that you can break down so that it's immediately beneficial? People want to use something right now. They want to get value out of it right now. And they want it to be inexpensive. I have several digital products that I sell for my business, but one of them doesn't quite get as much attention as some of the others. That's my Edit My Life planner. It's a printable daily planner and weekly planner, plus a 5-day mini video course to help you stop procrastinating on your biggest goals and get results fast. The goal planning system that I teach in the Edit My Life planner is exactly the same information that I teach my clients. Though my clients are paying me thousands of dollars, this is a much smaller, easily digestible program. But here's the thing, I don't promote it as much as I should, and I could probably lower the price to get more sales. So I'm taking my great big goal planning system and I broke it down into this easy DIY 5-day program. Now I just gotta stand on the side of the highway and say, watermelons for sale. Okay, but it's really planners for sale, but you get it. So I have a few things I need to do to promote this slice of life editing and make it more palatable to my potential clients. I want everyone who drives by my website to buy a slice. First, I need to update the free workshop that promotes the planner. Then I need to update the price. And finally, I need to update the email sequence that goes out after you sign up for my list. This may be a little bit more than what I can complete in a day, but my ultimate vision is to have people buy the Edit My Life planner almost immediately after they sign up for my email list. Right now, I talk a lot about my bigger programs, but this is the one that's really a beautiful slice of what I teach. It is so manageable, so doable, and everyone loves a planner. All right, I am watermelon slicing my knowledge to make it immediately beneficial to my potential customers. Good morning. We are starting our second book, and with this book, we're taking a different kind of big leap. It's Eat That Frog by Tracy. Get it? 'Cause frogs leap? Anyway, this is a book that I recommend constantly, so I hope that it's good advice. For today's challenge, I'm doing exactly what the title of the book says. I'm going to eat that frog. But what does that mean? It sounds gross, but it actually refers to your priorities. Tracy writes, Mark Twain once said that if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that that is probably the worst thing that is going to happen to you all day long. Your frog is your biggest, most important task, the one that you're most likely to procrastinate on if you don't do something about it. It is also the one task that can have the greatest positive impact on your life and results at the moment. So your frog is the biggest, scariest thing on your to-do list, but you know if you do it, it's going to have the biggest positive impact. I mean, how often does that happen to us where we know what we need to be working on, but we're not doing it because we're scared of it? So for me, my top goal is always a money goal. There's a certain amount of money that I am working on earning through my business. Now this morning, before I start on any other work, I need to do stuff that pertains to earning money. As I like to tell my clients, do what's closest to money. My frog for today is actually continuing the work that I started yesterday for my Edit My Life planner. The whole sales funnel process for that planner is a little messy right now, so I know I need to fix it, but I'm a little scared of doing it because it's a lot of work. I need to update the price, update the freebie workshop that leads to the planner, and I need to update the email sequence that follows a purchase. And if I'm really honest with myself, I need to tweak the sales page too. It's a lot of work. It's a little frustrating that I let it get so messy, but I know if I tackle it first thing this morning, I'm going to feel so much better the rest of the day. Eating your frog now means you don't have to eat it later. All right, the sun is coming up. I'm going to turn off the camera and I'm going to get to work. Ribbit, ribbit. And we're back. This is day 2 for Eat That Frog. How do you like my setup? I decorated for my planning pajama party that's later today. So yesterday I ate that frog and I updated all of those different things that I had to do for my Edit My Life planner. And it felt so good. Like, you know how you build stuff up in your mind, like, oh, it's gonna take 3 hours, it's gonna take 7 hours, it's gonna take days and days. And then when you actually stop yourself and just do the thing, it doesn't nearly take as long as you thought it would. So that was really nice to get that out of the way because I'm going to be talking about the planner during the planning party tonight. And I expect a lot of people to be clicking over to the sales page. So thumbs up for eating that frog. Today's challenge is to delegate, but specifically to delegate to technology. There's a whole chapter called Get Out of the Technological Time Sinks. Now, if I had a whole staff of people working for me, I could delegate a lot of stuff. But in this day and age, I can delegate things to technology. So all of that admin stuff can get done while I'm working on my genius work. Remember, we're on Einstein time now. I already use technology to delegate a few other things, like I have a social media scheduler, I schedule my blog posts, I schedule my videos. I automate a lot of things for my business, but there's one area that I'm kind of coming up short. The biggest factor in whether I reach my revenue goals is reach. Am I getting enough traffic to my website and my sales pages so I generate sales? I need to reach more people and get in front of their eyes so that they buy from me. I already have a Facebook ad that's been running for a while and it's doing pretty well, but 60% of my traffic comes from Pinterest. So I'm thinking about doing an ad on Pinterest. Actually, I've been thinking about this for a long time. You might be wondering, if I'm already getting so much traffic from Pinterest, why would I do an ad on Pinterest? It's the same reason I tell my clients to focus on the things that are selling well, focus on the things that are giving you a good return on investment, rather than throwing your money at things that aren't working right now. If I put my money somewhere else that wasn't doing as well, like Google ads or something like that, I might get, 5% better, 10% better. But if I put my money where it's already doing well, I might be able to double the reach that I'm getting. And here's the thing about automating technology. I know I could do really well if I automate some Pinterest ads. But earlier this year, I had a really bad experience with a Pinterest ads manager. Basically, I hired someone to help me with my Pinterest ads. She had all these big promises for me, and the results were way below what she promised. It was a waste of time, it was a waste of money, and she had no explanation for why it didn't do well. I was like, dude, I'm paying you for results and you're not getting me results. It left a really bad taste in my mouth, but I can't deny the reach that I have on Pinterest. So I'm going to swallow my fears, or eat that frog, and I'm going to set up a Pinterest ad today. I'm going to do it myself, I'm going to monitor the results, and see how it does for a month. If I get a really good return on investment, then I will keep it running the same way I have my Facebook ad running. I know not everyone has the budget for ads, but ads have helped me reach so many more people than I could do on my own. I don't have the time or the energy to be everything to everyone, so I'm going to let these beautiful pieces of technology help me out. I would love to know, what types of things do you automate or do you delegate for your business? Leave a comment below and let me know. Good morning. We are on the last day of Eat That Frog, and today we are salami slicing. I'm beginning to realize that this book is full of really gross metaphors. Anyway, salami slicing your projects is something that I have been teaching my clients for a long time, though I don't call it that. It's where you take your great big projects and you break them down and break them down and break them down and break them down into the tiniest possible tasks. Now, ideally, your task should take less than 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. And that way, when you're going through your day, there's no pressure. Like, the next step is so easy. It's too easy to fail. I've shared this story before, but I once had a client who wrote on her to-do list, write my novel. And I was like, that's more than one step. And no wonder she didn't make any progress on writing her novel because the next step was too big. But instead we broke it down into teeny tiny bite-sized pieces. So I need to slice up my work today and figure out how I can take a bite out of my projects without getting overwhelmed. The planning pajama party was last night, and I will leave the link below where you can watch the recording. And we talked a lot about breaking down those big, unmanageable projects into doable tasks. The biggest project that I need to break down now is my 2022 content for the Life Editor Clubhouse membership site. All the Clubhouse members voted last year, and they decided on themes for every month. Each month has an overarching theme, and there is one video Clubhouse class that goes along with that theme. And then there are 3 group calls with different topics and different aspects related to the theme. And finally, the 4th group call is a book club call where we're all reading the same book that's related to that theme. It's like 5 different pieces of content per month for the Clubhouse. Now, I promised myself that I was going to get ahead in my content and do some of my 2022 content before the new year. I do not like being that stressed out, frazzled life coach who is hurriedly trying to finish stuff the night before it's due. New year, new Sage. What I'm going to do today is salami slice my Life Editor Clubhouse content. I'm going to take all those big content projects, break them down much smaller so that I can inch forward every single day. Ideally, I would like to save things into the portal a few months ahead of time and then just release it when we reach that month. All right, now I'm going to pop into my project management system, which is Asana. I want to break down all of my projects for my 2022 content and then inch forward little by little by little. And you better salami slice your projects too. Welcome back. I'm starting the next book today, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. I have recommended this book to my clients more times than I can remember. It's a tiny little book all about a big problem, resistance. Resistance, self-doubt, fear, imposter syndrome, it all holds us back from achieving our big goals. And this old white man is going to teach you how to stop being your own worst enemy. The first exercise I'm trying is to play hurt. The athlete knows the day will never come when he wakes up pain-free. He has to play hurt. Well, that's a nice slap in the face. It's tough love, but it's totally true. There will always be something wrong in your life. There will always be struggles. As I tell my clients, if you wait for things to be perfect, you're going to be waiting forever. This was a really hard one for me, and I had to get honest with myself about how I'm holding myself back. I'm all about the self-care, but sometimes when things get hard, I try to convince myself like, oh, I need some self-care now. I've gotten into the bad habit of taking naps in the afternoon, and I use quotes because they're not really naps. If I was really napping, I would sleep for a little while, feel energized, and get back to my work. But instead, I'm just lying in bed, scrolling through my phone, and not actually truly resting myself. I'm just mentally tired and I want to check out. It is a really, really bad habit, and it costs me hours of productivity every day. So I'm actually recording this in the afternoon because I forced myself not to take my usual nap and relax. Yes, of course, I take breaks, I drink tea, I play with my dog, but I'm not zoning out like some kind of zombie. As I've explained a few times in different videos, that's self-comfort, not self-care. Self-care gives you energy and fills you up. Self-comfort numbs you out so you avoid feelings, emotions, and situations that you don't want to deal with. So I am playing hurt today. I am going forward and doing things even though all I want to do is check out. I'm hoping after a few days of pushing through when my mind wants to give out that I'll get used to it. In fact, another thing that I've been trying that I've been getting used to is decreasing my caffeine so I don't have that great big crash in the afternoon. Leave a comment and let me know, what do you do when your energy is plummeting? What's your best advice for reigniting your creativity and motivation in the afternoon so that you can keep going a little bit longer? All right, I'm back. It's day 2 with The War of Art. The War of Art is a really funny book. Half the time it makes me feel really capable and motivated, and the other half it makes me feel like I'm failing in everything I do. It's kind of shining a spotlight on me and showing just how prevalent resistance is in my life. Today's exercise is to not overly identify with your job. Resistance knows that the amateur composer will never write his symphony because he is overly invested in its success and over terrified of its failure. The amateur takes it so seriously, it paralyzes him. Whoa, that was a mirror right up to my face. I really hate to admit this, but I often have crippling perfectionism. I get so caught up with how I'm viewed by the world that it makes me freeze if I can't do something perfectly. That's the tricky thing with perfectionism. You might see somebody not doing their work and you think, oh, they're lazy. But it could be the total opposite. They could care so much about their work, so much about their job, so much about their reputation that they can't even breathe. In the book, The 4 Tendencies, author Gretchen Rubin calls this tightening. Can I get real here? Sometimes I feel like I'm being strangled by my own expectations. I want to achieve so much, but I am so flawed. The War of Art says, yeah, you are flawed, you are imperfect, but that's okay. The people who could benefit from whatever your gift is, whatever your art is, they just want the information. They don't care about it being perfect. I have seen this time and time again in my business. I get caught up with how I look, is the lighting okay, just really trivial things. And then I don't put out my videos, I don't publish my blog posts, and my followers suffer. And when I do put out something that I feel really nervous about because it's not perfect, nobody cares. They just want the information. This is one of my biggest goals for 2022, is to put content out there, be of service to my followers, even if it's not perfect. This is going back to the true message of being an editor, of being a life editor. Everything is wrong. Everything is falling apart. Resistance is everywhere. We are so flawed, but we can edit, but we can put things out there a little bit better than before. I can be the best me, and that's not going to look like everyone else. Woo, this was a tough one today. I need your help. I want you to promise to do something imperfectly today. You might love your job, but you are not your job. Leave a comment and let me know something that you're going to put out into the world this week imperfectly. And I promise to keep battling my perfectionism every day. That's the true war, isn't it? Good morning. It is the final day of the War of Art. And I'm glad I read today's exercise before I started my to-do list because I have something to do before I start any work. Today's exercise is to invoke the muse. The last thing I do before I sit down to work is say my prayer to the muse. I say it out loud in absolute earnest. Only then do I get down to business. Invoking the muse means calling upon a higher power to motivate and inspire you throughout your day. You ask this entity to give you strength to keep going. This could be God or the universe, or as I like to recommend to my clients, choosing a work persona. A work persona could be acting like whoever is top of your field, or Oprah or Lady Gaga or whoever. And then when you're struggling throughout your day, you ask yourself, how would blank handle this situation? I like the idea of a persona or a muse or whoever, something outside of you, giving you the strength to stay focused and do your work. But it's never actually worked for me. Instead of thinking about how another person in my field would solve a problem or how the universe can support me, I like to think of my future self. This is something I've been doing for years. Whenever I feel stuck, I think about future Sage as if she were here helping me along. My most popular blog post on my website is about my suicide attempt when I was 15, and I'll link it below. What saved me was the idea of my future self telling me that life was going to get better. My life was awful in the moment, but I had this future vision of myself showing me that I wouldn't be in this horrible situation forever. So today I am going to call on future Sage, my muse. I'm going to invoke her power and get my work done. Because the future version of myself is always more confident and more capable and more powerful than I am right now. And it's kind of funny over time as I become more and more like this future version of me. Who I am now is definitely a version of future Sage that I was thinking about 10 years ago when I started my business. Okay, Muse, future Sage, give me some strength today. Let's do this. Good morning. We're starting another book today. It's The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Look, this one even has the old white guy right on the cover. We're gonna learn how to get from where you are to where you want to be. And I guess being successful means a navy suit with a dress shirt unbuttoned to the third button and a bunch of fancy gold jewelry. Maybe that's success to some people, but let's see if the advice in this book is applicable to more than just old white men. I first read The Success Principles years ago after I watched the movie The Secret. Jack Canfield is one of the speakers in the documentary, and I really liked what he had to say about the law of attraction. It makes sense to me, and I've been teaching a lot of his practices to my clients. For day one of the Success Principles, we're going to do the life purpose exercise. And as I was doing this, I realized I had done this exercise years and years ago. So I shuffled through my desk and I was able to find the beat up little note card that had my notes from this exercise. Here's what you do to find your life purpose. Number 1, list 2 of your unique personal qualities, such as enthusiasm or creativity. Number 2, list 1 or 2 ways you enjoy expressing those qualities when interacting with others, such as to support or to inspire. Number 3, assume the world is perfect right now. What does this world look like? How is everyone interacting with everyone else? What does it feel like? Write your answer as a statement in the present tense, describing the ultimate condition, the perfect world as you see it and feel it. Remember, a perfect world is a fun place to be. And number 4, combine the 3 prior subdivisions of this paragraph into a single statement. And I have my single statement that I must have written 8 years ago. My purpose is to use my enthusiasm and solution-finding nature to help women plan and feel motivated as they achieve their goals while taking care of themselves. And you know, when I think about it, that life purpose statement still fits with me today. Do I think this is a good exercise? Yeah, I think everyone can benefit by really thinking about their purpose. So you got your 2 unique qualities, 2 ways you express those qualities, and how those things working together create your perfect world. Your life purpose does not have to look like anyone else's. Let me know if you do the life purpose exercise and leave your life purpose statement in the comments below. I'm very happy to know that the life purpose that I wrote many years ago still fits with me today because I've been doing this work for more than 10 years. It's kind of validating to know that I'm still on the right path. It's day 2 of the Success Principles. I gotta say, it was kind of difficult to choose what specific exercises I would be doing from this book because there are 66 success principles. In fact, this book is 587 pages long. Like, that kind of makes it seem really difficult to be successful. But I think maybe the best way to approach this monster-sized book is to just pick and choose a few of the success principles that you can actually implement into your life and business. Make it easy, do what you can, find those baby steps, and you'll at least be more successful than where you are right now. And every little bit of progress counts. Today's exercise is to use the law of attraction. There are so many ways to use the law of attraction, but today I'm actually going to steal the idea that Jack Canfield talks about in The Secret. And that is to write yourself a pretend blank check for any amount of money you want. And then put the check somewhere where you'll see it every single day. Really start to feel like what it would be like to have that kind of money. And then you're going to start looking for opportunities in your life that could lead to that outcome. The law of attraction doesn't mean that you think of what you want and then boom, it plops there on your lap. No, it will open you up to seeing ways of getting that goal. But you have to act. So I went to the website for The Secret and I downloaded their blank check. And I'll leave the link below where you can download your blank check too. It is from the Gratitude Bank of the Universe. And then I was brave and I wrote down exactly how much money I want to earn this year in 2022. And to be completely honest with you, I'm a little embarrassed to say the number. But maybe that's a clue to me that I need to act more confident and really feel like I have this amount of money in order to manifest it. The amount of money I want to bring into my life this year through the law of attraction is $250,000. That has actually been my business income goal for a while now. $250,000 has always had this prominent place in my mind, and I think I figured out where it came from. In the late 90s, I remember my mom and dad talking about how much money they earn over the course of the year combined. And it was $250,000. So I guess I kind of always had it in my head that $250,000 was the amount of money I should be striving for. That was nearly 25 years ago, and of course inflation changes everything. I am very grateful for my life circumstances, and I am very grateful for my successful business. I earn a lot of money and I'm able to do wonderful things with the income I have. But I have yet to hit that $250,000 benchmark. It's kind of embarrassing to actually say this number out loud because I know there are so many more successful life coaches out there who earn much, much more than $250,000 a year. But you know, screw them. I'm talented, my clients get amazing results, and I am totally worthy of $250,000 per year. I'm going to put this check on my desk where I can see it every day, and then I'm going to study it and bring in those feelings of having that money. I'm going to look for those opportunities that could lead to that money, and every day I'm going to act like a $250,000 a year life coach. Have you used the law of attraction, and what things were you able to manifest? I would love to hear your stories, so please leave a comment below. I am calling it into existence. It's day 3 of the Success Principles, and we are almost finished with this book. I've got my check right here on my desk. Today's exercise is to ask, ask, ask. There are 4 steps to asking for what you want. Number 1, ask as if you expect to get it. Number 2, assume you can. Number 3, ask someone who can give it to you. And number 4, be clear and specific. It's another nerve-wracking exercise. A few years ago, I led a presentation at the Chicago Planner Conference. It was all about the law of attraction, and I told the audience that when you see opportunities that lead to what you want, you must act on those opportunities. You can't just sit back and wait for things to happen. You must take action. So I told everyone in the room that someone was going to walk away with my 3 printed planners. This was back in the day when I sold printed planners. So I held them up, everyone oohed and awed, and then I did my presentation about the law of attraction. And then at the end of my presentation, I said, hey, remember, someone's gonna walk away with my 3 planners. I held up the planners and I said, who wants my planners? And then I just waited. I stood there for what seemed like an endless amount of time, just holding my planners. And at first people in the audience were like, ooh, I want them. And then they all got quiet and I could see the gears working behind their eyes. Like, I want those planners. What should I do? Finally, a brave soul got up out of the audience, went to the front of the stage and grabbed the planners out of my hands. And I shouted, woohoo, you did it. You saw an opportunity and you went for it. So that person got to walk away with my 3 printed planners. But how many other ladies in the audience were thinking, I wanted to do that, but they didn't? So in terms of asking today, I'm going to send an email. I sometimes get pushback because I send a lot of emails for my business, but that's how we make the big bucks. You gotta ask, ask, ask. So today I am going to send an email asking for what I want. I want everyone who has purchased a copy of my Edit My Life Planner to now join the Life Editor Clubhouse membership site. The Edit My Life Planner is a great starting point for getting used to goal setting and taking action on those goals. But there is so much more I teach in the Clubhouse. It is literally my favorite place to hang out with my clients. I do weekly group calls, I'm super active in the Facebook group, and that's where I put my very best strategies. I'm constantly trying to get people who enjoy my digital programs to take the next step and join the Clubhouse. Because you don't have to edit your life all on your own. Join the Clubhouse and get extra support. That's what I'm doing today to ask. I'm sending an email to the people who have purchased the planner and I'm asking them to now join the Clubhouse. It's the next logical step, and the worst they can say is no, or just not even respond. And hey, I might even get some sales and some new members in our group. If you don't ask, you can't receive. We are so close to the end of listening to these old white men. Today we start our final book. It is Getting Things Done by David Allen. Look, another old white guy. And he's got his shirt unbuttoned too. Is that like a thing? Like you become so successful and so rich that you forget how to button your shirt. Come on, ladies, you know you like it. Anyway, we're going to learn the art of stress-free productivity. Sounds good to me. So today's exercise is to unbutton your shirt and today's exercise is all about capturing. Basically, capturing means to do a great big brain dump of all of those ideas that are floating around in your head. Or maybe they're on sticky notes on your desk. Or maybe they're on the back of an envelope underneath a pile of papers. Or they're lost somewhere in your junk drawer. I get it, I have a lot of thoughts going on at once. But when you capture your ideas, it ensures that they don't fly off, never to be seen again. And you can make a plan to take action on those ideas. There's an entire flow chart here in the book. So when stuff comes to me, I have to figure out what is it and is it actionable? If it's not actionable, you put it in your tickler file, which I call a parking lot. If it is actionable and you say yes, then you must figure out what's the next action. If the action will take fewer than 2 minutes, then do it right then and there. So put away the laundry or send the email or update that thing on your website. Do it right away if it takes fewer than 2 minutes. If it takes longer than 2 minutes, you're either going to delegate it to someone else who can handle it, or you're going to defer it to another time when you do have enough time to work on it. So I actually kind of already use this capturing idea in the project management software I use. Right now I'm using a combination of Trello and Asana. My plan for today is to gather up all of my notes, all of my little ideas, and put them into Asana. Then I'm going to do it, delegate it, or defer it. And if you don't have staff or team members that you can delegate to, you can delegate it to an automation or a piece of technology. I use a lot of automatic schedulers that send things out for me so I don't have to do them. I want you to join me today. Capture all of that information, all those sticky notes, all of those thoughts floating in your head, and give them a home. When you capture the ideas, then it puts you in control so you can actually make progress. So many of my clients have these brilliant ideas, but because they never capture their ideas, they never act on them. So good job, white guy. This is great advice. Back again for day 2 of getting things done. Yesterday was both good and bad. It was really good to capture all of my ideas, put them in Asana, and assign dates to them. But it was a little disheartening to see just how many things I want to take action on. And then having to make the difficult decision of what can I do now and what is going to have to wait. At least when I have things floating around without any purpose, I don't realize what I'm missing out on. When you keep things as someday, there's no stress to do them. Speaking of some days, that brings us to today's exercise. We're going to make a list of our some days and maybes. These are any tasks that you just simply can't get to right now. Some examples are hobbies, skills to learn, creative expressions to explore, trips to take, organizations to join, things to see and do. I don't know about you, but I have a ton of some days and maybes. But I don't always get to them, and then I feel bad later. Our task for today is to make a list of all of our some days or maybes, then put them into categories, then review those options, make some rough plans, and put those plans into the calendar. Even if it's something you want to do in the future, like a great big trip, there are things you can do today to get yourself closer to that trip. Maybe you save a little money. Maybe you go online and start exploring options. Maybe you think about what clothes you'll wear on that trip. You'll think about who you'll invite and what you'll eat. All those tiny little things that you can do now for whatever your goal is gets you motivated and inches you closer and closer to obtaining that thing. One of my worst habits is not making time for my hobbies. I have a lot of hobbies like reading, scrapbooking, and I have a few hobbies I want to take up. One of them being miniature making, and I just got this great miniature set for Christmas. It's this adorable little study with bookshelves and books and papers and stuff, and you put it together all from scratch. I love the idea of building something from scratch, and this is adorable. It's going to look so great on my bookshelves, but I have to make time for my new hobby. What I'm going to do today is block off time on the weekend where I can just sit at my great big kitchen table and work on my new miniature set. Even if it's just for 15 minutes, it's still something. And I have a feeling the more that I do it, the more I'm going to want to keep doing my hobbies. And that's the whole point. Remember from back in the War of Art, I can't over-identify with my job. I can't always be working. Sage needs a life outside of being a coach. I want to hear what are your some days and maybes. Leave a comment below and let me know what things you want to try and what things you can do today to get closer to those goals. Put your next tasks in your calendar so you don't let the time slip away. We did it! It's the last day of getting things done. And this is also the final day of my Old White Men Advice Challenge. It's been a ride. It's been exciting, but mostly good. Today's exercise is to choose the next action. When a culture adopts "what's the next action" as a standard operating query, there's an automatic increase in energy, productivity, clarity, and focus. I am definitely guilty of finishing a task, finishing a project, and then just being relieved that I'm done. You know, maybe collapsing on the couch, watching Netflix for a few hours. But what I should be doing before I relax is choosing the next step. That doesn't mean I have to do the next step, but simply choosing the next step means I'm not floundering or winging it when I do get back to my work. I am at the end of my 2-week challenge of taking the advice from old white men who write self-development books. This was really a chance for me to reflect on whether the advice that I'm consuming and that I'm giving to my clients is still relevant. I'm certainly noticing while most of the advice is still good and still relevant, I could certainly broaden my horizons and take information in from other groups. I'm really embarrassed by how few people of color appear on my bookshelves. I'm also a little embarrassed that I don't read many books by women and that we just kind of default to whatever the old white men say. My next action is to edit all of these videos and really come up with a good summary about what advice I would take again and what advice I would not. And then I definitely want to hear from you. What are your next actions for me? Do you have some great self-development books that I should read? Leave a comment below and share your favorite titles and your favorite authors. Something that will help me think about next actions is in my Asana tasks or in my Trello tasks, I can put something at the very end that says choose the next step. So before I archive a project or a task, I know I need to choose the next action step before I move on. And that is how we get things done. All right, life editors, I've got a short and sweet summary for you. Out of all 5 books by old white men that I read for this challenge, my favorite was Eat That Frog by Tracy. I like that it's short, you can read it in just a couple hours. Each of the chapters has a section at the end that lays out how to implement the task. There's no wondering what to do next when you're reading this book. And my least favorite book of the challenge was Getting Things Done by David Allen. A lot of the strategies in the book are great, but I was already doing them. So it didn't feel like there was a whole lot new for me. Also, the writing is a little wordy and technical. Now onto my favorite advice. My favorite piece of advice / strategy that I implemented during these 2 weeks was using Einstein time from The Big Leap. Believing that I'm in control of time gave me so much confidence. And when I stopped looking at the clock and just believed that I have enough time for everything, I was amazed by how quickly I got my work done. And then my least favorite piece of advice or strategy came from Getting Things Done, and that was planning your some days and maybes. I agree that you should have a way of holding on to those ideas that you can't take action on right this minute. I call it a parking lot. David Allen calls it a tickler folder. The issue I have is assigning a date to everything in your some days or maybes. I have hundreds of things that I am not taking action on right now. And putting a specific date to those things really stressed me out. What I would rather suggest to myself and to my clients is to look at your parking lot and maybe choose 10 things for each quarter and add dates for those things. Don't assign dates to everything, just the next few things that you can do in your next 12-week plan. And the one book I want to reread again right away is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Like I said, this book is super long. There are more than 66 success principles to try, and I think it might be fun trying to do one per week going forward. Really great advice, but I need a little bit more time and space to devote to each principle. Okay, let's talk about the results I got from this challenge. First, I feel more confident, more in control, and that kind of happens whenever I'm trying new productivity strategies. I also increased my reach with that Pinterest ad I started. And I'm noticing more traffic to my website and more signups for my email list. After fixing the sales funnel and the automated emails for my Edit My Life planner sequence, I immediately started getting more sales. It just goes to show you that some of those nagging, tiny little admin tasks really need your attention because the smallest thing can have the biggest impact. So I am very glad that I cleaned up that sequence. As for sending that email to the people who purchased the planner and asking them to join the Life Editor Clubhouse, I have done that, but it is scheduled. I wanted my new sequence for the Edit My Life Planner to be rolling for a few weeks before I asked those folks to join the Clubhouse. So the email is scheduled for next week, and I'm very hopeful it will get me more sales and more people into the Clubhouse, because there's no harm in asking for what you want. I'm really happy that I chose to do this Old White Men Advice Challenge, and I'm excited to try new books and new challenges in the future. That's it! This week, click the link below to get your copies of all the books that I mentioned during the challenge. And if you want to take the advice of an old white woman, then please click the link below to watch my free workshop, 3 Simple Steps to Become a Productivity Superstar. You'll learn how to dump your excuses, transform your habits, and become the most productive person you know. Click the link below to watch my free workshop. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. It helps my videos be recommended to other life editors just like you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.